Okay, short assignment today. Okay, the only reason it's so short is because the class are going to get screwed up with this volleyball tournament. Graph each function, identify the axis of symmetry. Okay, this is the assignment for Monday. Okay, October 26, 10/26. Okay. Now you're wondering that people asked me today, what the heck are you talking about axis geometry? Well, first off, we're getting rid of that crap and putting 9, okay? Now, I want you to put in the corner the parent function, okay? Parent function is just y equals x squared. So you're going to start with that. And again, there's no a, you're just going to put hk. You need to label that, but you go with the parent function first. I'm picking numbers so they're lined up. Raised 3 to the seconds 9, 2 to the seconds 4, 1, 0. A negative raised to the second is the same as the positive raised to the second, same 4, 9. That will be set up in all the problems. Now, we don't have an a. If you do have an a, you multiply all your y values by the a. But first, before we do anything, we need to line up how we're going to translate the x and the y. Well, I look in the parentheses, and I set that x minus 1 equal to 0. So I add 1, and x is 1. So that's a number I'm going to be adding to 0. All my x's will be translated 1 to the right, but you can just add 1. Alright, now your k values, you don't line that up over here, you just drop it and add 2 to all your y's. So 3 plus 1 is 4, okay? 3, 1 plus 1 is 2, 0 plus 1 is 1, negative 1 plus 1 is 0, negative 1, negative 2. The x's go in a linear pattern. Now that's 11. These do not go in a linear pattern. That's 6, that's 3, that's 2. Now you just did 1 a second ago, it's probably 3 again, and that's probably 6, and that's 11. Okay, now graph it. You're going to have to go by 2's on your y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Okay, 3, 6. Keep in mind you're going by 2's. You can't lose sight of that. Okay, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2. So 1, 2. Now that is your middle point. Don't lose sight of that. Okay, and then 0, 3. Now you come back around. And it is a parabola, a symmetrical parabola. Now label your vertex 1, 2. It's the middle point. Okay, that's the x, that's the y. This is the axis of symmetry. It's an imaginary line that cuts a parabola in half. You label it with x, and you put x equals 1, because all the way through there your x is at 1. That's why that is called what it is. Okay, just label it x. Draw the imaginary line x equals 1. That's all that entails. Okay. Next one, x, y. A, that's going to be y. A, h, k. So you start with your parent function of quadratic equations. Now somebody asks, what's the parent function of a line? It's just y equals x. Okay, now it's y equals x squared. Absolute value is y equals the absolute value of x. Okay, and then we just square these 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9 quickly. Now if you have an a, that means you multiply all these by 2. Not yet though, we still have an h and k. Okay, now the x minus 2, we set that equal to 0, add 2, and all the x units translate 2 to the right, so plus 2. Now I'm not going to do that yet because I have a k, so after I times these by 2, then I have to add 5 in that order. Okay, so you should go right in order. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1. Those go in a line. Now 9 times 2 is 18, but plus 5 is 23. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 5 is 13. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 5 is 7. 0 times 2 is not 2, it's 0. I have a lot of people that put 2, they'll be going too fast. 0 plus 5 is 5. Put in your calculator. 1 times 2, and then you're just back that we just did 1, it's 7. We just did 4, we got 13. We did 23. Now graph them, go by fives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 23. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, right there. Okay. 3, 7, 1, 2, 3. Now you're going by fives, you can't lose track of that. Okay. Okay. 2, 5. And once you get that fourth point, it just comes back around. Okay. Symmetrical. Now you need to label that vertex, okay? That's the middle point, 2, 5. Because looking at the graph isn't really going to help that much because you had to go by fives. Draw your axis of symmetry right through the vertex, x equals 2. Why the axis of symmetry is important, I don't know. Go ask Larson, okay? Alright, sorry, that sounded rude. I'm not trying to be rude, it's just, yeah, I agree with you. It's okay, A, H, K, all in the house. If you don't have an A, then you're just not going to multiply. It's that simple. Now, first you're going off you first set up the parent function of quadratic equations. 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9, okay? A, well that means we times by -3. Don't do it yet though. Don't jump the gun. Now H, you set the expression where that includes a H equal to 0, -7. Because you see the low point of a quadratic of the parent function 0. But since you're adding 7, you got to say, okay, what value would x be to get that back to 0? Well, it'd be -7. That's why you're going to add -7. So that goes to -7. The rest of the points follow suit. Now the k, you can put plus -8 or -8, but that's done to the y. Okay. So we're just adding -7, so it's -4. -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. Okay. Okay, now the 9, we're going to take 9 times -3 and -8. It's going to be -35, but I'll show you how you should do that on your calculator. Do it. Now remember, you times first, but your calculator will pick that up. -20. -11, and then that'll be -8, okay? Because that time, if you take a 0 times a number, it does nothing to it. Now 1, I think I just did 1, didn't I? -11. I think I just did 4. I think I did 9. Okay, we want to go by 5s on the y, go by 1s on the x. If you're like, well, I can't make that to 10, well, at least try it. Don't, because I don't want you confused. -4, -35, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Remember, it's negative, you go down. Okay, then -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, -6, okay, 5, 10, 11, -7, 5, and then right there. And then with -8, we go back down to -11, okay? And then here, just don't graph that last one, who cares? Just put it there. There's the graph, the axis of symmetry goes through the, you need to label the vertex, okay? That's your -7, -8, it's a point right in the middle of your table, okay? X, Y, and you just simply write x equals -7, somewhere on that line, okay? Okay, now, I got a couple problems, that's not going to take very long, so I got a couple of story problems you're going to do, okay? And these are essentially follow the same process. A gardener is putting a wire fence around the edge of his rectangular garden to keep animals from eating his plants. He has 20 meters of fence. Write a quadratic function that represents the area of the garden. Quadratic function means there's going to be a variable to the second power. Split that in half. This is how we're going to be setting up geometry quadratic equations. This side you're going to draw your shape. You're going to go length, length, width, width. Over here you're going to write your equation. It says you got to represent the area. So you make two parentheses multiplied together, length times width equals area. Now you're not going to put L and W because you're not, no. You need to fill these parentheses out somehow so that they have a common variable. L and W are not common variables, they're different. Okay, now the area is also not 20. For it to be an area number, it's got to be square meters. If you take geometry, you'd know that, okay? 20 meters of fence is the perimeter. So put perimeter. Well, perimeter is all four sides added together, so it's 2L plus 2W. Now, you are going to pick one of those variables to get by themselves. Let's do L. So I have to minus 2W. I put a 0W, so I have a place to minus 2W. So I have 2L, put your W first, like you do, negative 2 plus 20. Now divide them all by 2. And L equals negative 1W plus 10. So in the L, you're going to put negative 1W plus 10. Okay? And in the W, you're just going to put W. Now, I want that multiplied out. Put a 1 there. Okay? You take negative 1W times 1W. Write that out, please. And then 10 times 1W. Now, from Algebra 1, when you have a W times a W, that's W to the second, because you don't have a value, so you just raise it to the second and negative 1. This is just a W with a 10. So this side, I now have negative 1W squared plus 10W equals A, final answer. So I expect that multiplied out then. Okay, and then the second one. It's just like the first. We have 100 feet of wire to build a rectangular fence. That means that's your perimeter. It's not your area. That would be square feet if it was your area. What quadratic equation represents the area of the fence? So draw your fence, LLWW. Now use your area equation. That's the length times your width. But to write in a real equation, you got to write it in terms of the same variable. So you just put an L and a W. Those are different variables. So, the perimeter is 100, so there's 2 L's that goes around, plus 2 W's. Now, pick a letter to get by itself. Let's just get L, okay? Or L. So I minus 2W, put a 0W so it has a place to go. Negative 2W plus 100. Now divide everything by 2. So L equals negative 1W plus 50. So in the L parentheses, we put that expression because that's what the L equals. This is a skill you have to have in this unit. That's W. Great, now multiply it out. Okay, put the 1 there. So you have a distributed property. So negative 1W times 1W. Then 50 times 1W. So W times W is W to the second, and then negative 1. Because you know a second power has to come in somewhere for it to be a quadratic function. So you put your negative 1W squared plus 50W, and that's the end of the problem.